what do you think the big thing is for people not coming into the industry like they were?
Because it really is a shit job because you,
Well, there's the soundbite right there.
yeah, because
Good morning, Colin.
good morning.
How
are you?
Morning. Good morning, TK.
Hello, Pete. How are you?
Very well, very well. To everyone that's going to be watching this, Colin's just taken a little bit of a walk down the beach just to show us how amazing it is in Sydney with sunshine and coffee and all of the delicious things that he gets to start his day with. And we do have with us Colin Fassnidge. Welcome.
Good morning or good afternoon or whatever this is going out. How are you?
Mate, we're just going to have a bit of a chat today and sort of see what you're up to. I suppose, the idea behind the podcast is to sort of discuss all things sort of hospo and the world of good things, food, wine, service, all that kind of stuff. And I suppose it's also for us to sort of, catch up. You and I don't see each other that much anymore, that's for sure, because you're busier than a blue ass. What's going on in your world?
What is going on? I'll sit over here. Actually, I'm actually doing 5 shows this year,
5.
which is unheard of, but it's good. Touch wood, paying bills.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of filming MKR, which pays the bills.
Yeah.
So that's 3 months of the year. Then I do Food Diaries, which we did Mongolia. And the next, it's a 3-part series, so that's around the world. So we do Cambodia and Japan next. That's 3 shows.
Where can people watch that one, Colin? Where's that one streamed through?
It's gonna be we're in chats with Nat Geo and Netflix.
Because some of the social stuff you posted about Mongolia was pretty hectic. Was it fun or was it as bad as what it looked?
When we got off the plane, the producer was like, because there's 2 producers, it's me and Rob. He's like, "How fun was that?" I was like, "Am I allowed to swear in this podcast?"
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I was like, "That was not fucking fun, man." No, it was an experience, but it was 2.5 weeks of pain. Like, it was minus 42.
Fucking hell, it looked cold as fuck.
No one eats vegetables; they just eat meat. Like, it is what it is. But I mean, like, after a week, like, you haven't gone to the toilet because it's just meat. And most of the meat was horse and camel.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience and it's a good wake-up call. So we actually really don't realize how lucky we are in this country.
Yeah. I think, and that's the thing, it almost takes those kind of experiences for people to actually go, shit, I can just go to the shop and get X, Y, Z all year round, whereas these people are living literally sort of day to day, and you can only get to eat what you kill and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's no vegetables. They don't eat veg because it's snow like for 6 months of the year.
Yeah, I don't know how would you go without a potato, mate? You couldn't last too long without potatoes, surely.
I found some potatoes and I bought them in bulk and I stacked up our car.
Matt Damon out of the Martian movie. I'll grow my own potatoes if I need to.
Potatoes and tinned fish I was buying just to keep me moving.
Yeah, right. Wow. Just stop at the nearest not 7-Eleven, get a prune juice just to sort of keep you happy.
Yeah. That was good. But that's and then I have another show in September where me and Manu are in a caravan.
Before we kick on,
around.
Can you turn your phone to landscape?
Oh, like that?
Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
So we're me and Manu are going around New Zealand in a caravan.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me. I don't understand why you do that. I feel like that would be fun, but also not so much fun.
I think that's the premise of the show.
Yeah, right.
is us just arguing, eating, and farting in a van.
Right. And
it won't be like a new van; it'll be an old battered caravan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
So have you started shooting that yet or not?
No, that's in September.
Okay.
So that's in September, October.
Yeah, right. Well, that'd be fun though, right? I mean, some of this stuff, are you now at that point where you're doing things that are fun as well?
Oh yeah, like the like Food Diaries. I wouldn't say Mongolia that wasn't fun.
Not a great reference, yeah.
But we picked it. But we're doing Cambodia next. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
But we're not doing Cambodia where you go to a resort. You go in the jungle.
Yeah.
And we're doing stuff that just people want to see us get annoyed and eat stuff that it's based on no reservations. It's never going to be no reservations, but it's based on that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think it's great. And why, going back to Mongolia, why did you pick, or who was how did that come up? Was that just like a drunken barbecue? Shit, let's go to Mongolia, or?
Rob, the other producer, Rob Rowett, he, I don't know, man. He said Mongolia, and I said, that sounds good. Let's do it.
Google the arse end of the world.
Yeah.
Boom, Mongolia.
And next thing I know, I was on a mountain holding an eagle on a horse. So I was like,
yeah, the eagle images, they're quite something, that's for sure. I mean, you're not going to get that back either. That's the thing, right? You're probably only going to get one shot to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's I get to do stuff that are life experiences now. Like, I'm very lucky. Like, I know exactly where I am in life, and I know how lucky I am that I get to do, weird and wonderful things.
Yeah,
so it's good.
Are you more comfortable on the back of a horse holding an eagle or on a kitchen pass?
Well, I told the guy I couldn't fucking ride a horse, and he said, I said I can ride motorbikes, and he said it's very similar.
That's incorrect.
And I was like, it's not, mate. And then I went up a sheer rock mountain, and I was like, this is not this. Like, as if I fall off, I'm gone, bro. Yeah. But I seem to get myself in these situations.
You said luck. Is it luck? I mean, it's, you've had this is a plan, right? Like you haven't just stumbled upon, doing 5 shows a year. That's not just pure ass and timing. There's effort and, it's timing. It is all that, but it's so much more than that. There's a lot of work that goes into that.
Oh, well, I've been on the receiving end of no shows a year. I've been fired, and we've all had the pandemic. So when stuff comes up, like the Food Diaries is our own company. We made that ourselves.
Yeah.
So I have to be busy. I'm the sort of person who can't just, chill out.
What do you do? Like, what's a day off if you do want to chill out? I mean, I know you've got bugger all days off at the moment because you're in the middle of shooting, but when you do have a day off, what's a great day off for you?
Well, look around me.
Yeah, but you got to talk to us idiots first. That's the other thing. That's not really a day off.
I'll tell you what today's day off is. I have a meeting because I'm bringing out a beef jerky range with the guy I go boxing with. So we have a meeting after that. So it's not really a day off.
Yeah.
Mate, I go to the gym. You got to go to the gym and keep your head good. It's like, whether I do boxing, like I get bashed in a fight, but I'm getting better at it. So I've been boxing for a few years with a friend of mine who's a proper world title. And I find that's a good stress relief and a good, you know what I mean? It keeps my head in the game. And when I finish that, I'm good. And I swim in the ocean a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, winter, spring, summer, everything.
Just morning swim, like the cold water dips?
Yeah, I love it.
It was a bit of a funny one on your social media. I don't know whether it was this week or the end of last week, where you've gone from being the sitting around a milk crate, smoking cigarettes and drinking beers to taking ice baths together. I thought that nothing describes 2024 more than that. I don't think.
This is coming from someone who's just put an ice bath into his house. So
yeah,
well,
it works, man. I'm telling you.
I just turned off the heater, so it's cool. It's exact same. Yeah, because the crew, we used to go out all night. Like, we were proper rock and roll. And we'd go out all night. There's 100 crew. And then now we're all like 50. And some of the guys are older. They're all like, oh, we're going for infrared in the morning, infrared sauna, and then an ice bath. And I was like, that sounds good. Yeah. And then we were all there going, what's happened to us?
Yeah. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. But it's not, though. I think that, obviously things have changed in the industry in particular, with regards to people looking after themselves. And obviously we're talking about this a lot more with that magic word wellness and that kind of thing. Knowing, you got into the world of cooking young and, in tough kitchens, right? When like the old days when shit, just the stuff that happened in those kitchens can't happen anymore. It's just illegal, right? We don't need to talk about the microwave story because that's been mentioned a lot of times with you. And I was
very angry.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he obviously said the wrong thing, so that's on him. But the world of cooking in general has changed. Kitchens have changed. Hospitality's changed. What's the thing for you that I suppose, seeing those positives of people, going to the gym instead of going to the pub, what's the big sort of pluses there do you see?
Well, I think, like, I wouldn't change anything. It was hard, like, but I learned a craft. But the problem was the adrenaline, like, is what's that line in Heat? Is the juice? Something is the juice.
Yeah.
Like service, we look like I was at the high end of cooking, and service was amazing, and I loved it, and I loved being in the kitchen. And then like we'd all go out because you needed that buzz after, and that's the problem. People went out and stayed out, and I think this day and age the culture's changed. I think the drinking culture's changed. Everything's changed, and it is about wellness and looking after staff. And back then there was like, you were getting people beating down your door to work for you. There was so many people wanting to be chefs and like from abroad, and now no one wants to be a chef. So if you've got good staff, mate, you've got to look after them.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that is changing? Is it yeah, what do you think the big thing is for people not coming into the industry like they were?
Because it really is a shit job, because
well, there's the soundbite right there.
Yeah, because it's a shit job, but I love it. Like, you're cooking on the weekends, you're cooking at night. Well, most of your other friends out in hospitality, you don't really see them, and you're working in hot, sweaty conditions. And if that's for you, it's a great job.
Yeah. Do you miss it? Do you miss the buzz, that service buzz?
Sometimes, like, you've got 20,000 things going on. Sometimes I think back and go, remember when you were like a chef de party and all you had to do was look after a section? Like the biggest drama today is who stole the cling film, and I miss that sometimes.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that is quite a big drama though in a lot of kitchens. I reckon I've seen fights over cling film before.
Well, fuck the alfoil.
Yeah,
hiding tea towels in the roof.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Coming in off days off. Who's been on my section?
Yeah. What did you touch?
But I mean, I like now I've got two daughters, like two teenage daughters, and like my whole world's, I wouldn't change it. Like they made me a better chef, a better businessman, better everything, because in the early days, as I said, it was a bit crazy. It was like working in an asylum. You just work 16 hours a day, and if you got a bad review, they closed you down. So that was the pressure.
Yeah.
Like it's not now. Like, no one gives a shit about the Good Food Guide now. I'm sorry. Like, those guys wielded so much power. Now no one gives a shit, man. Like, you know what I mean? They could close you down, which was so wrong. Now you've got social media, and you can find out what a place is like instantly. You don't need to wait for some idiot on a Tuesday to tell you his view. So yeah, the pressure was huge. And then when I had kids, I just changed. My whole motivation was like, it's not about you anymore.
And is your eldest is starting to work in hospital right now as well? Is that correct?
Yeah.
How's that working out?
Well, I think she nearly got fired, but anyway, for rolling her eyes at someone who wanted a vegan burger or something with cheese or something, and she's like, mate,
so she deserved it.
She's definitely your daughter. There's no
a vegan burger with some sort of cheese. She's like, mate, but she's sort of like me. She sort of shows her emotions, but no, she's good. She works the weekends. She's making money, which is good.
Yeah,
and she knows the power of earning money, which is really good. And so she's in the hospitality industry. I don't think she's going to stay in it. I think she's a bit more, I would say, artistic, a little bit like me. As in, she needs to do stuff with her hands. So I think she wants to make clothes and stuff like that.
When you were young, I know that you talked before about people, not necessarily encouraging you to cook. Like, it was probably the time when cooking probably seemed like quite a lowly kind of job, I suppose. And I know that you've mentioned before as well that one of the reasons why you wanted to sort of do it was to prove people wrong that said that you couldn't do it, or, it wouldn't be good and that kind of stuff. If you could talk to your 12-year-old self that was getting into it and really sort of passionate, sort of starting that, what would you say to yourself?
I would say, because I was in school, I hated school, and I finished school and I did all right. Just because I just put my head down. But I used to panic in school because I just fucking hated it. And I still have nightmares about school as a 50-year-old man. That's how bad it is. Like, we went to Christian Brothers, mate. We got bashed.
Yeah.
And it's not a way to instill into a kid learning. So when I said I want to be a chef, they're like, sit down the back for 5 years and don't talk to me. because chefing was the same as go join the army. And I'm not saying nothing about the army, but it was just like you can get into the army if you're crap at school. You can be a chef if you're crap at school. Like you're not going to be an accountant or whatever. That's basically the way they looked at it.
Yeah.
So they just weren't interested in us if you want to be a chef or whatever, or anything artistic. They'd no interest in it. And so the 12, what was I say to the 12? I would say it's going to be all right, and just stick to your guns and be stubborn and a troublemaker. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean that troublemaker sort of. I suppose you know. I don't like using the word larrikin, but you know, you've certainly probably played different personas, and I know that when you first got into TV, you sort of said that you probably played a character for a bit of that, and now you're probably a little bit more authentic yourself, like more authentically you. And clearly that's resonating because, you know, MKR last year was the highest rated ever. Is that right? Or sort of, you know,
yes,
close to that?
We beat the block.
Is it that simple? Good. Is this like, it's like, you know, it's either us or the block. So, you know, we've got to beat them.
Well, it's a very, TV is a very fickle world. Like if you're not producing or, well, if you're not rating, you're gone. Like it's very simple. You can be up one year, like you can do 5 shows one year and 0 the next. You think chefing and hospitality is bad? TV is worse. They will knife you in the back faster.
Do you are you happier though now that you do get to just be yourself and like you can just be authentically you? And particularly, I mean, I think the chemistry that you and Manu have together is you know just is real. You can see that.
Yeah. Well, I think we sort of. Last year, MKR sort of went, like I'd done Kitchen Nightmares. Remember, I worked for you on that one.
Yeah.
And that was a tough gig. Like I thought we did the job quite well. We didn't tear people apart, but we gave, you know, negative and then positives and made it better. But it was still hard because I knew I had to give those negatives. So the night before, I was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow because you got to rip someone a new arsehole and then rebuild them. So when we did MKR, I got asked back to do it. I said, mate, I don't want to be doing this negative vibes, like, because people don't want to see that. But it's just after a pandemic as well. People want positive.
Yeah.
And I said to Manu, look, but we're both 50. Like, let's just have fun. Because I'm not really in the mood not to have fun. Like, because it's a long time on the road. So I think him and me, we just fucked around, man. And they just filmed it. And people liked it. Because it's just 2 blokes who are friends working together, eating, and you know, and then there is other contestants involved, but don't mind them.
I was going to say, I think there's some contestants on there as well, but yeah.
But I mean, we were like, when they'd start to argue, we'd be like, mate, just calm down. Like, you know, you're cooking, you know what I mean? You're cooking a bit of lamb. You're not saving the world.
Yeah.
Did you know Manu through the industry before you started work with him on TV?
We knew each other 20 years ago, and we hated each other.
Why? What? How did that beef?
Because I think I called him a dick on Twitter or something like that.
Mate, you called everyone a dick.
I called everyone a dick on Twitter. Yeah, and I've had to do a lot of apologizing. But
that's what one part of the 12-step program, isn't it? So
yeah. So. Yeah, and then we start working together, and like TV, I wasn't very good at the start, and I'd sort of walked into his arena, and he sort of taught me a few tips and things, tricks, and we became friends. Like the first time we worked together, that was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So you know, when you're young and dumb, like young chefs, you know, is what it is.
I think you know, it's one of those things where. And TK, you would have seen this along in kitchens as well. You get to a point, I think you see chefs where all of a sudden something clicks in where it's not about them. They kind of realize, you know, and I know certainly from my point of view, from a wine perspective, one of the things I learned early on, I'm really glad I did, was someone telling me, just remember, there's the 3 most important things about being a sommelier is it's not about you, it's not about you, it's not about you. And I think that a lot of people in our industry get to that point. Sometimes by default, sometimes they never get there. But when they do, there's a light bulb moment of, holy shit, I've got to remove my ego for this for a second. And generally, they end up becoming better cooks.
Yeah.
But you do need ego as well at the start. Like, you need something to be pushing it. But
Yeah.
the problem, it's obviously everyone knows the idiots that the ego just gets in the way, and then they're no longer around. Like this, someone wants a steak and they want it medium well done, and then the guy's like throwing it around the kitchen, and I'm not doing that. Mate, it's their money.
Yeah.
Like like if you want to be that sort of idiot and you can't pay your electricity bill, well, on you go, bro.
Yeah. Cook for the people. That's what we say.
Yeah.
All the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Like,
what's going to pay the bills as well, right?
In this day and age, you know what I mean? It's called hospitality for a reason. People are coming in to be, someone comes to your house and wants something well, like my old man eats lamb well done and steak well done. So, you know what I mean? If I go to a restaurant and then I'm going to look after him, I'll never be back.
No.
Yeah.
Tough game, mate. Like it's you've got to start cooking for the people, and it's like a light bulb moment, I reckon.
Yeah.
Especially when you own your own business.
And that's the difference as well.
Yeah.
When your money's on the line, and you know, that's when often a lot of people will work it out, because like, I can't keep doing this shit because I can't pay my bills.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Do you have many young people coming up to you, Colin, and asking you for advice about hospitality these days, or is it more based around TV?
No, I actually get a lot of DMs on Insta of there was a chef the other day, actually, he was coming up from the Hunter to do a trial in Bondi, and he had to cook for the owners of this restaurant. It was for a head chef's job, but he had to bring the food and cook and get the train up. And I was like, mate, already alarm bells are ringing. It. They're not going to supply you the food, and they're not going to supply you the. And he had to stay overnight, whatever. I was like, doesn't sound like a good job to me.
Yeah.
So that was one, and then some other guy said, I get tips of how do I progress in cooking, or I want to open a restaurant. And I'm like, don't spend too much on the fit out. Like, just find your feet. So I do get a lot of questions actually, and then I do a couple of podcasts in schools.
Yep.
For kids, because I've been through that and wanted to cook, and I know what it's like. Obviously, it's changed now, and it's a job that people want to do. Or well, not want to do. It's respected. So it was good to tell kids the other side of the story. Like, you know, go after your dreams and do it.
Do you tell them that it's not straight from school, then you're a head chef? Because I think that's one of the things. There's sort of a couple of steps missing, I think, for some people at the moment. You're like,
well, a commie chef doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, basically, it just doesn't.
Yeah,
mate. When I worked for Raymond Blanc, it didn't matter what you were. You went in as commie 1, so there was commie 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then there was demi chef, chef de partie, senior chef de partie, junior sous chef, like, and that was like in a kitchen of 40 chefs. You just started at the bottom.
Those days at Le Manoir, I mean, that was, you know, you were probably there at that peak of that restaurant as well, right? That was when it was just humming and heaving, and how much fun did you guys have in that kitchen?
Oh, I wouldn't say we had much fun. We did a lot of cleaning, a lot of polishing brass pots and stoves till 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
we got our ass handed to us in that joint. Like, that was hard. Like, we didn't even eat. We worked 16 hours a day. We looked like skeletons.
Was it Raymond Blanc giving it to you, or was it one of his soldiers?
Oh, he used to. One of his soldiers, but he used to nail me. He used to call me the barbarian. Like, you don't, like, one day you didn't shave properly, and they make you shave with the fucking razor that they shave the pigs with. Like, this old big razor, and your face is cut. They found that quite funny, and you're like, oh yeah, on you go, mate. It was like, that was abuse, next level abuse, that joint. I've seen a guy get stabbed. I've seen a girl have a breakdown. They just put her in a fridge, just left her there. Like, it was next level of, like, if you can't handle it, just get out. There's someone else to do your job.
And like we've said before, like, obviously the world's changed and you just can't do that anymore. But really, it should never have happened. Like, that kind of shit should never have happened. I know that people say, oh, you know, there's that people need to learn structure and they need to learn, but it's like, there's different ways of doing it. And that's just not the way. Like, it's so rare. I think what happens when people rule like that, you will only get maybe 1 in 10 people that will respond positively to that. The rest of them will just be like, fuck you. I hate this place. I hate you. I hate the industry. And then become a teacher. It
seems so far away, but because if I didn't live that as well, you'd call bullshit on it. But it's so real, you know, like
we burned through people like it was. And then the problem was you wore it like a badge of honor because you survived. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's like that's wrong. Like, It's like it's a military medal. It's like, yeah, you turned up, and you survived. Well done.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember Stokehouse days, and that's not long ago.
Mm.
Oh God, I don't even want to
Let's
think
not
about
do
it.
the
But that was like 7 a.m. until midnight.
Yeah.
But that goes hand in hand with opening a new venue as well, because that's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But also kids need to learn as well. Like, I understand you've got so many hours a week, but you've got to put in a little bit of extra graft yourself. Like, even if it's on your own time. And I used to go to other restaurants and see what they did, like on my own time, and like to learn butchery and learn how to break down fish, learn how to break down whole pigs, sheep, cows. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to. That was my craft. It's like anything. You're not going to learn everything in a 30-hour week.
No. And my 15-year-old son's just started a school-based apprenticeship in one of our restaurants, and he does every Friday. He starts in the kitchen, and I said to him, if you want to learn more, like he loves pastry, and I'm like, that's really rare that you like pastry, so lean into it. And I said, why don't you go and ask the chef if you can come in for an hour or two on Saturday for free, just to learn.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And he's like, oh, that's a really good idea. Do you think he will? I said, he'd be frothing on the fact that you've got the drive to do that.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you've got right now is knowledge. You need to improve your knowledge. That'll be your arsenal when you're 30. You know, so just feed it. So
pastry. You're a big fan of pastry.
Oh, I hate pastry. Well, you got to know your lane. Just they're pastry chefs for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not a pastry chef. I learned what I knew, I cooked what I knew and did well when I had restaurants, and then obviously I hired someone who could do pastry, and then it went up a level. But yeah, pastry's a science. I just don't have the patience. I would rather be breaking down a pig or butchery, or that's my little calm place.
Was that your wheelhouse when you're in the kitchen, balls deep? Was it a saucier on the grill? Where was you most comfortable?
I love prepping the meat in the morning. I'd have my little just leave me alone section.
Yeah, I remember.
I'd have music on as well. I like kitchens with music before service, because I hate this no talking shit. Like,
what's the go-to? What's the soundtrack when you're breaking down a pig?
Oh, we've got rock, man, or heavy metal. It's not classical. I'll tell you that now.
I pulled out the bank cookbook last night because I knew we were talking to you today, and it's like a holy grail on my bookshelf when Liam signed it one year in Brisbane. And I remember I went to bank the week before the Sydney Olympics for a job interview.
It's crazy.
I was going to say, you would have been there then, were you? Yeah, you were there. Had you started? You started just before the Olympics?
I just finished just before that. I went to Est.
So, mate,
Bank was the best. You met Liam. Liam's like,
mate, I rolled in for the job interview, and he came out of the kitchen covered in blood and sat in the restaurant. He had an ashtray that had about 1,000 cigarettes in it. He was the most terrifying fucking guy I've ever met in my life. And he goes, you'll do a trial starting tomorrow for 2 weeks. And I'm like, the Olympics is next week. And he goes, yes. And I'm like, I live in Queensland. I need to move down here. He goes, you'll find somewhere to stay for 2 weeks and do a trial. I'm like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. But then I look at that cookbook and I go, some of the greatest in Australia that's ever been worked and went through that place.
I know they're at the same time. That's the weird thing. Like, it's really rare.
That's the best kitchen I've ever worked in, because there was 12 of us in a line who could all cook. So when I'd finished in Le Manoir and whatever, and come over here. So, and then Kempy was from the Square. Wazza was from Marco's. Justin was from Le Manoir. Someone else was from. Everyone had a pedigree. So when you land in Australia, you either went to like the Tets, you went to Bank, or it was like MG Garage or Rockpool. And so they had the pool of talent, and everyone could cook, and they were good, man.
There's no weak links at all.
We just got rid of the weak links. See you later.
And such a beautiful restaurant.
And it was a great team because everyone hung out front and back of house. We're all like, once you're in that family you were in, and then we'd all go out and hang out together. It was a great team. But Liam, he was the only chef to make me cry in a kitchen.
How? What did he do? Or what did you do?
Fucking, that's what I didn't do.
Rolled his eyes at somebody.
I was on the meat section. He moved me from garnish to the meat. It was his fault, actually. I'm still friends with him, so it's fine. He moved me to the meat section on a Friday lunch.
Oh,
And
surprise.
Fuck, man, the beef rossinis, I'd like 50 on order. And then Kempy was screaming and shouting, Matt Kemp and Wuzzers, me were on the meat. And say, how many rossinis you got? I'm like, I got 10. He goes, you got 50 on order, mate. And then I was like, mate, like you just so far down this hole, there's no getting out of it. You're dead. Like you're just dead. You know, you're
palms
dead.
are sweating right now. Thinking
this
about it.
big fucking hand came over the pass and just pulled me over the pass. It was Liam's big black tarantula hand because it was hairy and he just fucking. I just got just like non-stop nailed for a whole service and I was just broken.
But it made you a better person, right? That was the whole point of it.
Let's say next Friday I was ready.
Yeah. Never been more prepared for anything ever in your life.
900 beef rossinis on Plus, chef.
Yeah, exactly. Do you miss that kind of stuff, that camaraderie? I mean, do you get that doing the stuff you're doing these days in some way, shape, or form?
Well, like a TV crew is exactly like a kitchen crew. Like cameramen are like chefs, mate. They're the same mentality. Like they're not riding ahead. So like we go away, like when we go around the country and we're touring, like it's like a band. Like we're all on the same plane, we're all on a bus, we're all in the same hotels. And we hang out together. So it's a very and they work hard as well. So I equate it to a lot like chefing. And I think it's like if you're a good head chef, you like you get on with everyone, your apprentices, everyone, because and it's the same. Like people think the host of a TV show is whatever. Like we're all the same team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all respect each other, and that's why it works.
But I'm sure you've either seen or heard of that sort of diva aspect that does come into TV.
Oh, we all know a few of them.
Yeah. And yes, I think, one of the things, and I know you've talked about it before, is like that just can't keep doing that. It just doesn't, it's not good for anyone, that kind of behavior, regardless of what industry.
Why are certain people on a show 1 year and then they're replaced the next year?
Yeah.
They don't like, the people ain't interested in working with idiots, divas, and people who want their own, makeup teams and their own whatever. Like they don't play ball. Mate, the presenter's the smallest cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
That's what they don't get. Like there's people in hours before you doing a lot more work, and you turn up and do your little and then leave. And then someone has to break it all down. So don't think you're the center of the universe.
I think Corey's sitting here in the background just nodding his head going, yep, know exactly what that looks like. It's like 3 hours of prep this morning.
we finished at 4 a.m. the other night filming, and I was like looking at the runners, and I was like, mate, they've got to break everything now. They're not going to finish till fucking 6:30.
Yeah.
Like I'm already complaining it's 4, but they're not going to finish till 6:30.
Yeah. What on those long shifts? What gets you through? Is it coffee or is it whiskey?
It used to be whiskey, a lot of whiskey, and like too much whiskey. Me and Manu were on the road for 8 months last year in 2 countries because we did MKR twice in New Zealand and MKR here. Then we did other stuff, and whiskey was huge. And then Manu stopped drinking. He hasn't drank in 6 months, and out of respect, obviously, I don't sit there and drink whiskey on my own because then you'd have a real problem.
Yeah, that's a very different conversation.
Yeah. So it's good because I don't drink when I'm with him now, and we actually drink tea. Like we were on the plane the other day and we were drinking tea. I was like, we used to be rock and roll.
Yeah. What's happened? What happened to us?
But it's good.
Tea, red light saunas, and a fucking ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I look good.
I dare you to ring Liam up and tell him that now. I had a nice tea and ice bath this morning.
Yeah, I had a tea. So what gets you through? Mate, what you do is, as I said, you got to go to the gym. You got to keep your head clear. Like, and when we know we've a long shoot, like you start at 4, mate. We're religiously like, we will have something to eat for lunch or whatever every day. And then we're like, all right, 2:00, I'm going to bed for an hour. Yeah. Afternoon nap, because then you start at 4 and you're not going to finish till 4.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where, and I would hope that most people sort of understand that there is a lot of work that goes into those kind of TV shows. It's not just turn up and talk a bit of shit, but the effort, like you said, from the team that has to put that thing together is just remarkable. And when people haven't seen it and then you sit there and you see what goes into making some of these shows, you really do understand how much effort and what these people go through and the love that they have for it as well. Like even like like you said, at all levels across the board, if it's the EP or even down to the lowly showrunner that is just doing all the shit work that no one else wants to do. These people love it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the career. Like I think people diss TV sometimes. Well, I used to years ago as well, and then I got into it and realized, hey, it's actually hard work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that glamour isn't anywhere near what people think it is.
But even like the show we did in Mongolia, like the cameraman, me, there was only four of us. We were all sleeping in the same room, and sometimes we were in the same bed, like in hotels to save money and just so keep production costs down. And we're just like broken, sleeping all together in a little bed.
Yeah, that's pure glamour there. That sounds fantastic.
Where do you think the food scene's going in Australia, Colin? Like what, you've seen the reincarnation of, I suppose, 5 or 6 different sort of styles coming through between, the demise of fine dining to, gourmet burgers. And, where do you think it's going? It's 2024 now. I think Margaret's doing really well in Sydney. He's killing it. Like, where do you think it's at?
Neil Perry owns that street now.
Yeah, doesn't he?
I don't know. It's fuck, man. It's so hard. They look 2 restaurants closed yesterday. Hamish Ingram's place closed 2 down. They're dropping like flies at the minute. It's just because that's it's cost of living is killing everyone. Like my mortgage has gone up $2,000 a month on top of what I already pay, and I don't know. People just want affordable food, which is not. There is no affordable food anymore because the weather here is so fucking out of control. Like the food's gone through the roof.
Yeah.
I was in Perth today and I was in a shop and blueberries were $13, and I put it on my Insta. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Man,
and
I was at a market the other day. It was $12.90 for one cauliflower.
But I seen a celeriac for $12, a little celeriac, and I was like, no one's going to buy it. It's going to go into landfill. Like, I don't know what the problem is, because it's, I think restaurants are hard now. Like food, people want cheap and affordable. I think the places that do really well at the minute are places with like really cheap fit outs and just really great food.
Yeah.
And if you can afford the Margarets of the world and those fit outs, and like if you're Justin Hems and you can drop 12 million on Mimi's, on you go, mate. But the rest of us didn't have a rich daddy. So, those kids borrowing from their parents to open little restaurants, but they just got to be careful.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? Because it's
so
hard to make money. It's so I was told that someone who's got a deal is making money just off the food. I was like, well, there's not a lot of, margin for profit here. You need to be in everything else. The food, I think, what types of food is more ethnic coming through? You know what I mean? I think that's in a country that's getting more racist. The food's getting more ethnic, so that's good.
Yeah, something slightly missing there, isn't there? So,
I think Middle Eastern's it's on fire at the minute. I'm loving all the Middle Eastern in Sydney.
Yep.
I think that's the way it's going. Like, I think it's less about burger shops now, which everyone's into making fucking sandwiches now. Like we haven't made a sandwich in our life, but now it's the new best thing. Just a bit of focaccia and mortadella is the new thing. Wow.
That's $15. Thanks very much.
Where's the go-to for you and your family? Have you got a local favorite that you?
I go to a Vietnamese in Haymarket called Pork Fat. It's run by a family. He's got a chef's hat now. They'd have ruined it. They're giving him a chef's hat. Now everyone wants to go there. It's a beautiful family, and they own a restaurant called Pork Fat. And I actually, it's a small little place. He's great. I just love him. And I actually booked a table, and he's like, I'm full, mate. And I go, you need to give me this table on Thursday night for 4 people. He's like, I can't, Colin, I can't. I'm full. I said, I'm fucking telling you, get me the table, and you'll see why.
Don't make me tell you who's coming.
He moves it around and gets me the table, and I rock up with Nigella Lawson, and he's like, "Oh," and then I said, "Mate, she's gonna love it because I only bring her places that I know she'll love." I said, "She's gonna post about it, and then you're sorted."
So you're done.
And then she fucking fell in love with this place. She fell in love with the family. She posted like she just writes essays. He's like, "Oh my god, the phone."
Good luck getting a table there now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Fuck that up for you.
I told you.
No, you've just ruined it for yourself though, as well.
Yeah,
This should be a permanent table there for you now.
I just want good people to do well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is like that idea of supporting good people and, you know, finding those places. And, you know, again, I mean, the name of this podcast is Behind. It is that about support as well. And I think that, you know, that can be in so many different ways, you know, whether it's like in the kitchen, literally looking after the people that are next to you, the floor staff, whatever it may be, or going and supporting the market and supporting your friends and their restaurants and going out and putting some dollars through their till. You know, and people talk about, you know, what can we do? It's like, go out, go and spend some money, you know, talk about the place. Like you said, like, even if people have only got, you know, 12 followers on Instagram, it's still 12 people that they're going to tell if they had a good time. And the idea these days, and I know you've spoken heavily before about, you know, nameless and faceless eggs and numbers on the internet that just talk shit. But it's funny that the nature of the industry in terms of people going into places and talking about it online, they only talk about the negative. Like the amount of people that go have an amazing time and they don't say a fucking thing. It's like, just do a positive every now and then.
Yeah. Because everyone's, it's one of the only industries where everyone's a fucking hero online who knows how to cook better than you. But like I get stuff about stuff I cook, and it's probably from some fucking guy in a TV dinner who hasn't burnt a calorie in fucking 2 years. And can't even, you know, boil an egg. He's telling me how shit I am. And I'm like, mate, you know, that's the world we live in. It's the only industry. It's like me going to a garage and telling the guys doing the engine wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It is quite unique in that way. And, you know, the socials are a double-edged sword. Obviously, you've kind of used them to your advantage in the last couple of years. I know that
someone told me to go back to Ireland today.
Did they?
Like, I said something about some dish. Someone put cornflakes on a dish, like as a main meal, sprinkled it with cornflakes. And I said, that's shit, man. Like, that's like, it's that is a shit dish. I said, if I was judging you on a show, you'd be gone.
Yeah.
And then one of the little followers was like, well, if you don't like it, fuck off back to your own country. And I'm like, what? Because I don't like cornflakes on my dinner.
See ya.
And the person was 24, I think, and I've been in the country 25 years. So
I was going to say, you've been here longer than they have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dickhead.
But that kind of stuff, like that must be hard sometimes to sort of bite your tongue. I know that, and because even though you don't always bite your tongue, sometimes I'm guessing you do more than you don't.
Yeah, my manager, I think she's going to have a stroke because she says to me sometimes, like, mate, why did you reply to this person? And I'm like, well, sometimes it's just a sitting duck that I just set up. And yeah, she's got a job sort of controlling me. Like, I just don't have time some of the times, but sometimes people need to be taken down a peg.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to disagree
with
that.
This guy, I've got a great story for you. This guy said how, like, you're effing shit, you're this, you're that, you're this, go back to wherever you come from. And I was like, okay. So I said to my daughter, watch this. So I found them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's great. You can easily find trolls on LinkedIn. Yeah. And because it was private on his Insta, but he was firing off all these comments and direct messages comments. And then I found out who he was, and he worked for a media company that was to promote people in media and positive, whatever. And he'd actually worked he'd done some a Woolworths ad, and he worked for a university. And so I contacted his boss with his screenshot, and I said, "Does this promote in the industry?" And the guy got nailed. So I emailed his boss with his comments. I'm like, so your employee thinks he can just dush about whatever, and you're in our business. And the guy was ringing me, texting me, and I was like, mate, it's too late. And I said to my daughter, I showed her everything. She's 14, and social media, as we know, can kill people, especially young kids. Yeah. I said, you can easily take down a bully.
Yeah. And I think it's that accountability. I think people think they're invisible and that no one's going to find me, but it's like it's pretty bloody easy these days to find people.
It's fucking hard to read it, mate. Like, did you ever go through a stage, Colin, as you got more and more famous through all the work you've done on TV, the negative comments, has it ever got to a stage where it's affected you?
I've been to the police. I've had,
jeez.
I've had, we'll rape your wife, we'll burn down your house. I'll take your kids on a date. Like, these are men.
Jesus
and that's over.
What is wrong
cooking?
with people?
Something you said on a cooking show. I'm like, and the police are like, well, there's nothing we can do. You're like, okay, bro. I actually said to the police at the time, so if I find this person, it's not going to end well. I tell you that now. If my kids get brought into something, it will. I'll do the time for what I will do to someone who's done something to my kids.
Yeah.
The cops like, are you saying violence? I said 100%.
Yeah.
Like, and there's not a parent in the country would disagree with you. So yeah, like when we started MKR, to say it was 2 million watched it in the heyday. Yeah. So it was 1 million liked it, 1 million hated you. So if you're anyway bad, like depression, or if you're anyway like that, like it's a killer.
It's a slippery slope.
I'm good. I'm glass half full sort of person, but I always tell all the people who come on the shows or whatever, like, don't read social media if you're that way inclined, because you're not. So one day you're just Joe Soap, the next day there's people telling you to go jump off a bridge. Like, it's a very hard. You need to be schooled in it as well, and they don't school people in it, which they should.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you talked about before as well, Faz, is the idea of like failure being really important for people and particularly kids and in our industry. That people, you sort of have to fail to learn, and it sort of sets you on a certain mindset. Generally, you don't want to feel like that again. So what's your biggest failure, do you think?
I've had loads. I've been fired. I actually got fired from bank. 5 of us got fired.
5?
We had
at once?
5. Yeah. I don't think it was more. I think it was 8. 8 got fired. We stayed back one Saturday, and we had a session down in the wine bank, and we cooked, and we stayed there with the barmaids or the bar. Well, you don't call them barmaids. Bar. What do you call them?
Bartenders.
Back then, they were like, we were going out with the girls behind the bar, so we cooked them dinner. We got nailed, man. Like that. Like, imagine the whole crew staying back and just getting on it, like drinking, and Liam went fucking crazy. So that was a fuck up, a failure. Well, it was a.
Ooh, just lost audio. You got a call.
A couple of months later, bank went bust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, we just lost you for that. Got you back.
Is that because of the bottle of Louis Trey you drank behind the bar that night?
Yeah.
And with the beef receding.
Yeah, bank went bust a little while after that. So it was sort of, and I was on the sponsorship, but I managed to move my sponsorship. So I was lucky I actually did get fired. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, good
because
timing.
Otherwise I would have been out of the country. And then what else? I think I've lost chef's hats, like at the time, it's the biggest thing in the world. Yeah. You go home and have a cry as a grown man, having a cry because you lost chef's hats.
I think as an industry, I think you sort of mentioned at the start as well, the fact that it's not necessarily as relevant as it used to be, like that idea of, we chase these false idols for so long that don't actually make sense. And you're generally going to make less money when you're chasing hats.
Yeah, but you don't, like, it was good to do. But then you sort of, it's something you've done and you move on and you grow up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember we got 2 chef's hats. It's a 4 in hand, a pub. And there was people in uproar that you've got 2 chef's hats in a pub. I cop so much grief.
Which is just so ridiculous when you think about like some of the great Michelin-starred restaurants in the world of like seat 12 people, and just doing one dish, and it's like, why? What's the problem?
Yeah, and I will log in on this podcast the Sun.
Hang on, mate. You're just covering your mic there for a sec.
The first ever pub to get 2 hats in Australia. Make sure you log that in.
Okay, we'll make sure that even though it's not. Well, hang on, it's just been sold again, hasn't it? Or
it's been sold a few times. But That whole area was just amazing. All the
Yeah.
pubs and the food. Now Josh Nyland's taking over the Grand Nash, so that's going to be amazing.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. Mate, if you had to give one piece of advice to kids who are trying to work out what they want to do in the world and potentially thinking about hospitality as a career, what would you say?
I would say, well, what I say is, if you go to work in the morning and you hate your job, like you hate it, like physically makes you sick, fucking don't do it. Leave it. Do something else.
Yeah.
Because I know too many people who think they have to work in a certain place or work for a certain person, and they just hate it, and it messes with their heads. Like, because there's always something else out there. That's my advice, actually.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Very, very good advice. All right, mate, we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Great to chat.
Thanks, Colin. Appreciate it. Good luck with all the TV.
Yeah.
It sounds exciting.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. And good luck with the podcast.
Thanks, mate. We'll talk
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
Chat.
Thanks, boys.
See you, mate. Bye.
See you, mate.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.